Welcome to the Audio Inc. Radio podcast, featuring interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal, hosted by Erickson.
Get inked. Visit Facebook.com/Audio Inc. Radio, Twitter.com/Audio Inc. Radio, and AudioIncRadio.com for more ink. Whew, that's a lot of ink. It's AudioIncRadio.com.
I want to tell you a story about a little girl who fell in love with rock music. Yeah, that is me. I'll never forget the first moment that I heard rock. I mean, I've mentioned it on the show. I was in a car with my boyfriend in high school at the time, and I had literally never heard a rock song. And I mean, I had to be 15, actually. Can you imagine not hearing any rock music by the age of 15? That was me. My parents had no problem with rock music. It was fine. They weren't against it, but they just did not really listen to it when I was a kid. We listened to opera and classical, and I loved all that stuff, and show tunes and Broadway and Phantom of the Opera and all of that stuff, and I really loved it, but I was unaware of this thing out there that was popular rock music. And the first track I heard in the car with my boyfriend at the time was The Offspring with Come Out and Play. And I was like, whoa, what is this? I've never heard anything like it. Wow, I like it. What is it? You know, I was totally enthralled with this music. And he was like, oh, this is The Edge. That was the radio station. It's a rock station. And it's funny, my first radio job ever ended up being on that very station, which was really cool and made me extra nervous because of my history with it. But I do remember that The Offspring, I'm not a huge fan. Actually, I think they're great, but it's funny that was the first song that really turned me on to rock music because I'm not a huge fan. But I remember one of the early bands that when I heard, I needed to know, whoa, who is that band? Because, wow, that is amazing what I'm hearing. And one of the very first was Creed. Hey, I mean, I remember My Own Prison, hearing that stuff and just falling in love with the authenticity behind it. I mean, it felt like it came from a real place. The music itself sounded very organic. It wasn't super polished and perfect and definitely not pop. It wasn't upbeat. It was definitely kind of dark and stuff, but I like dark music. That's me. I just like that stuff. And My Own Prison, I wore out that CD. I played it so many times. Oh my gosh. I think it had all those, you know how on CDs it used to, if you took it everywhere, the CD, and maybe didn't keep it in a safe place or whatever, it would be scratched up. I remember it was scratched up. It was skipping in parts, and oh my gosh, I listened to that so much. And then when I started playing bass, I played so much bass to that album. I just loved playing bass on that record. And it was just, I fell in love with it. And then I remember going to see them. By the time I finally got to see them, because I was a little bit too young to see them at first. At least, yeah, I guess that's why I didn't get out there. I was a little bit too young. But when they were on the Human Clay tour, that was the first time that I saw them. And it was the Palace of Auburn Hills. And I went with my friend Emily, who wasn't into this kind of music. God bless her for going, because she was, I think, a bit scared. Like, it just wasn't her thing. To this day, like, I don't think she's into that stuff. I feel like Our Lady Peace opened. I could be wrong. And maybe Oleander. Again, I don't know. And I don't want to Google it right now because I guess it's irrelevant. And I want the story to be more just about the experience. But I think it was those two opening. And Creed was so good. So good. Human Clay was a great record, but for me, My Own Prison, that was where it was at. And I was glad that they played stuff off that. now, I mean, fast forward years later, and with my job, with what I do on the radio and then the show here and everything, I've interviewed every member actually of Creed, mainly with Alter Bridge. Scott Stapp I interviewed when he was doing his solo stuff. So I've done him. Mark Tremonti many times. He's great. Wonderful guy. I've interviewed him for both Alter Bridge and Tremonti stuff. Scott Phillips, Brian Marshall. I even got to tell Brian Marshall that he was my favorite bassist, and he was so nice about it and really liked it. All of the members are really talented. That's something I think that sets them apart. And on the show, if you haven't figured it out, we have Mark Tremonti back. It's been a while. He hasn't been on for a while. He has an exciting new record out with Tremonti. It's called Marching in Time. And what I think is really cool is that with Tremonti, he actually sings lead vocals. It's different because he's known as an incredible lead guitarist. No matter what you think about different guitarists or who's your favorite, blah, 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 everyone I know who appreciates good guitar work says that Mark Tremonti is an incredible, just fantastic guitarist. And he kind of brought that guitar rock back, in my opinion, in that late 90s, early 2000s era, even though Creed was considered a post-grunge band, and I definitely get that vibe. I do think that their music highlighted the guitar more than typical grunge music, if that makes sense. I mean, Mark, he can shred. This guy is a guitar hero. But with Tremonti, he shows that he is a really talented vocalist too, which is really awesome. And the new record, Marching in Time, is awesome. I mean, he never disappoints, but he sounds as confident as ever on vocals. He always sounded good on vocals, but I feel like every record, he just sounds even more and more like, yeah, I am the front man. He just claims that. And the songs on here are really well written. They show off the guitar, bring the guitar to the forefront, and it's just a great rock record. Dude, check it out. Yes, I said dude. You're welcome. Live with it. Marching in Time. Check it out. And very exciting to have him on the show. Got to tell him that I never really talk about what a big Creed fan I was, but maybe I have to tell him a little something about how they're one of my first concerts or something like that. Because, hey, got to be real. I loved Creed. I'll never forget driving around with my sunroof down, singing Creed songs at the top of my lungs. And here I am years later, and I still drive around with my sunroof down and sing rock songs. That's how I roll. I'm Ann Erickson. As always, it's great to hang out with you. And if you are new to the show, welcome. I am very happy to have you here. Please subscribe so that you don't miss a single episode. Just search Ann Erickson or search Audio Inc. Radio wherever you listen to podcasts. Hit subscribe and you'll be instantly notified of the next episode. The interviews with the biggest names in rock and metal. That's the tagline of the show. Also, reach out to me online. I'd love to hear from you. Hit me up on Facebook. You can head to itsmeann.com. That's itsmeanne.com. itsmeann.com to link up on all of my social media, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, all of that good stuff. You can also just search Ann Erickson on Facebook and my page will pop up. And if you want to find me direct, Twitter and Snapchat at Ann Erickson, Instagram and TikTok at Erickson Ann. Check out my band, Upon Wings, at uponwings.com. Creed is one of those bands that made me want to have a band, but I did not think I could sing a rock vocal since I was trained in opera, which is why it wasn't until I heard bands like Judas Priest and Iron Maiden that I really actually was like, oh, I'm going to try to be a band. I'm going to have a band. But Creed, definitely a huge musical influence in many different ways. uponwings.com to check it out. All right. Are you ready? A great chat with the amazing Mark Tremonti talking about his new release with Tremonti.
Hey, this is Mark Tremonti from Tremonti and Alter Bridge, and you're tuned into Ann Erickson on Audio Inc. Radio.
Hey, Mark. How are you?
Hey, Ann. Good. How are you?
I'm good. Thanks for making the time to do this.
Absolutely.
So it's very exciting that you've got a new record on the way with Tremonti, Marching in Time, and it's a really epic title. So tell me first what inspired you to name the record Marching in Time?
Well, usually I'll, after I finish writing all the lyrics and putting the album together, I'll just kind of look at the song titles and then look at the individual lines to see if hopefully encompasses the vibe of the record. And when I looked through it, Marching Time definitely popped out.
Did you record the full record during the pandemic? And if so, how did the songs on there reflect that?
We did the whole record during the pandemic. It's only one song really kind of was inspired lyrically by the pandemic. I didn't want to make a record that was, just a time capsule of, the COVID era. I think it would just kind of be depressing looking back on it. And I don't think it would age well. So it's just the title track that really has anything to do with it.
That's a good point, because I do think years from now, listening to this record, other than that title track, it will be a more evergreen kind of set that people can enjoy, decade after decade.
Yeah, that's, my producer actually was talking about trying to avoid that very thing, it's just, and I agreed with him, just, why just keep bringing people back to this time?
For sure. And actually, you mentioned the title track, which it tells the story of a father having a child during the pandemic and preparing for life, during the crazy time that we've been having. So tell me, what has your experience of being a father right now been like for you?
Well, she's sitting right here next to me right now. So it's been awesome. It's, the silver lining in it all is I've had more time at home than I've had in the last 25 years. So I've been here every single day and seen every moment. So tonight we're leaving. So it'll be my first time away from her. So I'm really sad about it. It's just, it's going to be really tough. But, the song itself is kind of inspired, almost looking at an older child, and wanting them, bringing up kids at all in a world, like it was this year. It was just kind of a scary thing. And it talks about just trying to keep that purity and that kind of keeping your kids the way you raise them and not let the world kind of bring them down or change them in any way.
And that's actually a theme that even without the pandemic, I think a lot of parents can relate to.
Yeah, once you put your kids in a new school or a new city or anything, they're going to be influenced by their friends and by people around them, and you can't keep them in a bubble. They have to be responsible and they have to make the right decisions, and especially in the way the world's been recently. I don't want them to turn on the news and see all the hatred and all the people can't even have a discussion anymore without arguing about it. It seems like. So it's just raising them right and making them know that they don't have to live their lives that way.
Back to the record, it seems like every time I hear a new Tremonti album, you sound stronger and stronger on vocals. Do you feel more confident now than ever?
Yeah, I just love singing. It's always been something I've really enjoyed doing whenever we're in the studio. Even before the Tremonti stuff, I always loved doing the backing vocals and, just harmonies and whatnot. And I'm the first guy at a party to jump on the mic for karaoke night. It's just, I just love singing. So in between these last two solo records, I probably sang more than I've ever sang in my life. Just taking my son to soccer practice for 3 hours, sitting in the car, just kind of singing, Sinatra tunes or whatever it is. I just love practicing.
And of course, you have the big tours. I mean, you have some great tours through the end of the year. Seven Dust and Daughtry you're going to be out there with. What makes Seven Dust and Daughtry a good fit for you? Because actually, I don't think I've seen that you've done a ton with Daughtry. I could be wrong on that, but I thought that was really cool.
Seven Dust, we've done more shows. I've played more shows with them than any other band in the world. It's probably been hundreds of shows because they used to come out with us back in the Creed days, and then we've done Alter Bridge, Tremonti tours. Nonstop. And John Connolly's one of my best friends. He lives about 10 minutes from my house, and our wives are best friends. And our kids are the same age and grew up together, so we're really close. And then Daughtry, we were friendly years ago. I got together with him once to try to put a song together, but he was only in town for the day and had to hit the studio, so it never worked out. But really nice guy. Great musician. That they're going to put on a great live show, and it's. I think the good thing about it is there's going to be a variety of people there at the show. When it's the Seven Dust Tremonti tour, a lot of our fan base is the same folks. When you throw Daughtry in the mix, there's going to be a whole other base of folks that come out. And Travis Brock is opening up the show, and he's awesome, and I can't wait to see his performance as well.
I think it's a really great fit because Daughtry, I mean, even though he was on Idol and stuff, obviously he was the rocker, and I don't know, I mean, his voice is amazing, and I'm so proud of what he's done with his career because he's just like such a big name now. Yeah,
no, he's done awesome, and he works hard, and he deserves it. He's I'm sure when you go out and see that show, he's gonna tear it up. He's a great vocalist. His band, he surrounds himself with great musicians, and I think people are gonna love it.
And I'm sure that you're seeing, like me, just a ton of tours having to cancel dates because of a band member or crew member getting COVID, like Jonathan Davis and then the Kiss guys and stuff. Are you nervous at all, about the situation on the road?
Yeah, I mean, I'm nervous that, we just get set back once again. We've all been, waiting for so long to get back out there, and the music world has just been devastating this last year. So it's, that's one big fear. Another fear is, gathering all your fans and having somebody get sick, and you never know. Until you have somebody have something serious happen to them through COVID, you don't take it too seriously. But I just got off the phone with one of my friends at PRS Guitars, and they said they just lost an employee.
Oh my gosh!
So it's horrible. It's last thing I want to ever have happen is to jeopardize anybody's health. So it's we got to be careful, and we've got really, really strict policies going out on tour. I think one of them was a lot of venues in a lot of states are requiring vaccination cards, and a lot of people return their tickets. Which everybody has their views on it. The whole band's vaccinated, so we're going out being as safe as we can, but it's just a weird world out there right now. You got to do all you can to stay safe.
I know, it is really weird, and I'm vaccinated too, and I'm still, because of the Delta variant, it's crazy, but it's so great to have live music back, so it's like this double-sided thing.
Yeah, it's you gotta live your life. We can't just stay in bubbles for the rest of our lives. I think it'd be smart to get the boosters or whatnot, or whatever can help in any way. Who knows? We'll just do our best. A lot of people say that the masks don't work and the vaccines people are still getting real sick from them or whatnot, but why not just try our best to take any precautions we can.
And do you have one track off the new record that you just cannot wait to perform live?
I think A World Away is going to be a staple in our set. I think we're going to start. Well, our first show is a festival, and then I think after that we'll start opening up our sets with the opening track on the new record, A World Away.
What makes that one the one that you just cannot wait to do?
It's just got a live energy to it. Certain songs translate better than others from records to live, and that one's definitely a fun one to play.
Cool. And how do you think this record is going to translate live compared to the other Tremonti ones? Is there anything different about it?
I'll know once we start really getting out there and putting these songs out in front of an audience. Sometimes in the past I've sometimes been disappointed. It's I remember the AB3 record when we were doing Alter Bridge 3, and Show Me a Sign was my favorite song on that record, and I couldn't wait to play it live. And we played it live, and the crowd just was kind of mellow through it. And then we played the next song, and they go nuts. And then I was like, all right, let's give it another chance. I think we gave it 3 or 4 chances, and it was just kind of never received that well live. And it's just, you never know.
So you also, of course, are lead guitarist in Alter Bridge, and I'm wondering, What's new on that end? I mean, do you guys hope to hit the road again, or are you thinking of recording new music first? Because obviously the pandemic just changed everything there too.
Yeah, we're doing new music first, and then me and Miles will probably get together on our break in January to go over what we've written at that point, and then we'll go in the studio. We have April scheduled for some studio time. I don't know if we'll finish things up in that time or what, but we need to get new music out before we go back on tour. It's just been too long. Well,
that's exciting. Definitely cannot wait to hear it. Have you started writing anything for it yet?
Oh yeah, I've written just a few ideas, but just kind of gotten started.
I also wondered, a lot of people are watching the documentary Woodstock 99, and you guys are in it. Creed is in it, and I'm wondering what have you seen it, and also what do you remember about that experience?
I have not seen it, but the funny thing is we kind of came and went real quick. We flew in or drove in. I mainly remember the hotel lobby where all the bands were staying was just kind of, Medlem, a bunch of people just hanging out, partying, which was fun. And then next morning we drove into the festival, did our show, and I think it was 2 hours before set time. We had 2 hours straight of press, and then we had about 30 minutes, 20 minutes maybe tops to warm up before the show. And Robbie Krieger was back in our dressing room because he was performing with us, and he said, "Why don't we play Roadhouse Blues?" This was probably 20 minutes before stage time, and we had never played it together before. And we all pretty much said, "All right, well, we've never done it. Might as well do it in front of 250,000 people for the first time without any rehearsal." So we did that. And then after the show, immediately, I think we might have done a couple interviews, and then immediately we left. And on the way out, I just remember watching, for some reason, our transport had TVs in it that were showing the concert in real time, and we could see all the fires and stuff breaking out, and just all the kind of rioting and whatnot. But we didn't really experience it. We were kind of, like I said, we were kind of doing our press, hitting the stage, taking off. So we didn't get to experience the days of, mud and partying and, the violent stuff, and the people complaining about waters being like, I don't know how much that water, like $10 waters or something.
Wow. Yeah, that's interesting because I wasn't even, super aware of that festival until I watched the documentary, and then I saw you guys on there. So I was like, oh, well, I have to ask him about that.
I wore the dumbest shirt of all time in that show. I remember that.
What was it?
Oh, it was this white and black shirt. Looked like it was straight out of Miami Vice. It's it was a big show. I was like, I should buy this shirt and wear it for Woodstock, and I still have that shirt. It's just, I look at it now, I'm like, I can't believe you ever wore this shirt to begin with. Not even at a show, but ever.
Oh wow, that's funny. That actually reminds me that I think that Creed was the first band shirt I ever bought. I was really young, and I still have it, and that's funny. It just reminded me of that.
That's awesome. That's great.
Yeah.
Do you still have it?
I do. I totally do. I'm very nostalgic. Yeah, awesome. And yeah, for sure. It's a great shirt. It was pink, I think, actually, which was nice. You guys had some girl merch.
Yeah.
Actually,
I remember those.
Yeah, for sure. On the subject of Creed, people always want to know, is there any, possibility or talks of a reunion?
There's nothing going on right now. It's, nothing's ever off the table. It's just timing, and, it's just kind of hard to coordinate. But, I've got so much on tap right now. I've got, this tour throughout next, I think we'll tour through next winter, and then we hit the road with Alter Bridge, I think in November of next year. So it's just a nonstop thing. And I've got a 6-month-old now at home that I'm trying to do every other month kind of a thing, because I can't miss out. So it's, it'd be tough to jam another band in there.
Oh yeah, for sure. But you guys still keep in touch with Scott and everything?
Not frequently, but every 5 months or so, or every 6 months, we'll either text or talk.
I saw that. I think I'm right on this, that next year will mark the 25th anniversary of My Own Prison.
Well, yeah. Well, it came out in 97.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
That's awesome. What a great record. What do you remember most about that era when the record came out? And were you surprised by its success?
Gosh, I mean, we were kids when we did that record. I remember being in college, and I worked at Chili's as a cook. Scott Stapp worked at Ruby Tuesdays. Our Scott Phillips worked at a knife store at the mall, and then Brian, I don't think he had a job. I think his parents were paying his college tuition and everything. But anyways, we all saved up our money, and we paid $30 an hour for these recording sessions with John Kurzweig in town, and finally got it done. And what you hear on that record is that's what we tracked in college with that, our $30 an hour. So it was not the biggest sounding record, but it kind of fit the mood right for the time.
Yeah, that's really cool that record ended up getting released. It wasn't like re-recorded, or anything like that.
No, it was remixed by Ron St. Germain, but it wasn't re-recorded.
How do you feel that record changed your life?
Oh, it completely changed my life. I just remember before that I had some of the worst jobs of all time, putting myself through school. Just, I just in my back of my mind, I just kind of told myself, just do this for now because you're going to be a musician. You're going to go out and get that record deal and this and that. I just kept on telling myself that. I think I was naive to think that was, it's such a hard thing to do. I think we just got, it was the right time, the right place. We got lucky and fell in line with the right people. And I remember there was a club we played in college called Floyd's Music Shop. And we would play there all the time for about 50, 60 of our friends. And then one night our song got on the local radio station, and then the next time we went into Floyd's, I was sitting at the bar, and a guy comes in. He says, "Do you know this band Creed?" I said, "Yeah, I'm in it." Mm-hmm. He said, "Well," he's like, "Wow, well there's a line a few blocks long outside. You better go backstage." And I remember that was one of the most exciting times ever, because I went backstage, and I think I might have thrown up. I was so nervous looking out at all the people, shoulder to shoulder, packed venue for the first time in our career. Pretty exciting.
What do you think it is about that record, that people just fell in love with?
At the time, all the rock on active rock and just alternative rock was kind of lighthearted. It was kind of like Third Eye Blind, Marcy's Playground, that kind of music. Just kind of like party rock kind of stuff. And then when My Own Prison came out, it was definitely way more moody than most of the stuff out there. And I think people just kind of connected with it. And, that's My Own Prison just took off.
I think that's a great point. And it really kind of spawned a new era of that more moody kind of like guitar driven rock, in my opinion.
Well, I love to play the guitar, so it's good to hear that. That's always been, I always want to turn the guitar up in the mix on the records and have it serve the song, but be fun to play as well.
Awesome. Well, hey, it's been great chatting with you. Is there anything else you'd want to add?
No, I'm all good. We'll just look out for the band on tour throughout the rest of the year in the States, and then we'll be hitting Europe in the spring.
Well, definitely cannot wait to see you live. It's been so long since we've, seen you guys on the road with everything, so it is very welcomed.
Can't wait. Thank you so much.
One of the greatest guitarists and just a great person, Mark Tremonti of Tremonti, Alter Bridge, Creed, and many more projects. Thank you for being an amazing guest on the show. Mark, you're awesome. You can come back anytime. I'm always just really happy to have you on here. And hey, don't forget, guys, check out Marching in Time, the latest release with Tremonti. You won't be disappointed. This is a rocker. I mean, from front to back, this thing is all killer stuff, featuring great guitar work. If you're a fan of great guitar lines, I know you're going to love it. And if you are just a fan of well-written, solid rock music, check it out. Very cool to hear that Alter Bridge is going to work on new stuff. I cannot wait. It's always a good thing. And hey, maybe they'll do something for the My Own Prison 25th anniversary. I would not be mad about it. I would want that to happen. I would be at that show. I really would. And I would buy the limited edition, blah, 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 whatever they would put out in honor of that anniversary. I'm Ann Erickson, and hey, as always, you rock. Thank you for being an amazing guest on the show. Don't be shy. Reach out to me online if you have an idea for a guest. I'll do my best to make it happen, or a topic on the show, because sometimes I just talk about life, about music topics, music commentary, anything like that. If you have an idea, hit me up. I would love to hear from you. Find me on Twitter and Snapchat at Ann Erickson, Instagram and TikTok at Erickson. And you can find me on Facebook. Just search Ann Erickson on Facebook, and my like page should pop up. You can like it, message me, follow me on there. And you can head to itsmeann.com, itsmeanne.com, itsmeann.com. And you can link up on all of my social media and make it very easy right there to do it. You're welcome. And if for some reason you don't subscribe to the podcast yet, shame on you. I want you to do it right now. Check it out. Just search Ann Erickson, or search Ann Erickson with Audio Inc. Radio. Wherever you typically listen to podcasts, we should be on every major platform. And if we're not, let me know, and I will do something about it. But search it, find it, hit the subscribe button, and you'll be instantly notified of the next big breaking episode with the biggest names in rock and metal, music commentary, fun hangout session. As always, check it out that way. Be a part of the podcast family. And if you want to help support the show, thank you. You can check out our Patreon page with a bunch of extras, photos and special messages, stuff like that, or private Patreon. The link is in the show description, and you can pick a different package. Every bit helps with the cost of the show, so check that out. And finally, check out my band Upon Wings at uponwings.com if you haven't yet. Hopefully you like it. Working on new stuff, always working on new stuff. And I like the direction of the new stuff that we're doing. It's a little bit different, but not too different. It still sounds like Upon Wings, but it's just a little different. And I do want to thank Roger Jones for being an amazing supporter of the show and just a great friend. Roger, thank you for supporting Upon Wings and Audio Inc. Radio. Thank you. And he's on Patreon. So, hey, check out our Patreon. All right. Well, I think that does it for now, which I always get sad wrapping up the end of the show because it's the end of our fun hangout session. But that's why there's always going to be a new episode right around the corner. Be back here next time. It is a date. Until next time, be safe, God bless, and we'll rock soon. Ann Erickson on Audio Inc. Radio.
It's Audio Inc. with Ann.
Thanks for listening to another episode of the Audio Inc. Radio podcast. Subscribe to our channel so you never miss an episode. Get inked online at audioinkradio.com. I'm Ann Erickson for the Audio Inc. Radio podcast.